There's a lot of things that people love about Red Dead Online, but there's also a lot of things that players absolutely hate. Aside from the cliche things to hate, disconnects, infinite loading screens, camps not spawning, and the roaches we label griefers, these are the 11 most hated things in Red Dead Online history. Click like and subscribe right now. Make sure you've got those notifications turned on. Oh, and one more thing before we get started. I want to give a huge shout out to today's video sponsor. Big ups to Raid Shadow Legends for bringing us today's video. If you're getting bored spending all your time indoors, social distancing and all that, then Raid Shadow Legends is the perfect game for you, and it's free to play. I've got some big news for you too. The daily login rewards program has been recently doubled from 90 days to 180 days for all players. That's 180 days to claim potential free energy refills, free silver, free gems, and free shards. After completing your daily login rewards, you'll get the chance to get the champion Scylla of the Drake. Check her out. Pretty sick, right? All of these things are just too good to pass up. With other mobile games, it gets tiring. Not every mobile game has to be cartoony and basic. Enough candy, rainbows, and unicorns. Get real, get dark, and get epic with Raid Shadow Legends. The game never holds back on the in-your-face, fast-paced RPG action. I still can't get over how great the graphics look for a mobile game. I love the fact that this game always has something to do and the champions never fail to surprise me. To all of you new players out there, click the special link in the description below right now and you will get 100,000 silver plus one free champion Slasher to add to your arsenal. He can be found in the Lizardman faction. After you get started up and you're ready to play, claim all of these offers and rewards at your inbox in the top right corner. It's that simple. Now, you need to keep in mind, these huge offers only stay in place for the next 30 days. So what are you waiting for? Go download Raid Shadow Legends today, look me up under the name Zumie Fiasco, and I'll see you out there. Now, let's get back to the video. Number 1, the economy. I already feel the repressed feelings coming to the surface. Do you remember the Red Dead Online economy at launch? Of course you do. The economy was one of the most hated parts of Red Dead Online. The cost of items versus the time it took to earn cash and gold to buy them was insane. It still sort of is a problem now, but back then it was way worse. Even the most basic of purchases would run you deep enough into your pockets to push you towards dropping several hours playing the same story missions over and over again. Yeah, you could go hunt, but there was a time when that's all there was to do. Now, luckily, eventually there was a big enough backlash from the community and Red Dead Online was updated and the cost of things were lowered a bit, but it should have never been this bad. I mean, I remember the semi-automatic pistol costing $1 grand just for one pistol. There is talk among fans that this was all just a huge marketing scheme to test players and see how willing they were to buy gold bars early game. Yikes. Number 2. No properties. For an online game that has such a huge open world to explore with several towns to travel to and from, it's a bit of a triggering thing when you find out early on that you don't have the ability to own or purchase property at all. In Red Dead Online, the closest thing players get to a property is camp. Sure, some people could try and argue that the Moonshine Shack is a property, but I think we all know who that really belongs to. Players want and expect houses, farms, hotel rooms even. They want to feel like their character is a part of the online world, and since the beginning, all the way up to now, fans still don't get to have these things, and it's triggering and easily finds itself among the most hated things about Red Dead Online. Number 3, the inability to play story missions solo. Red Dead Online is a great experience when playing with friends and other players. Sometimes though, people simply don't want to deal with other people. Unfortunately, since the beginning, Red Dead Online story missions always force people into matchmaking and won't allow them to just play the mission solo. This means players are left waiting in dead lobbies, relying on randoms to not leave mid-mission, or worse, getting stuck with players that are AFK, getting killed over and over, making the mission impossible to finish. It also sucks getting outvoted during honor missions when you have that choice during certain cutscenes to choose the honorable thing to do or the dishonorable thing to do. Since players aren't playing solo, they get pulled into that majority vote whether they like it or not. Being able to play solo would make things a lot easier, especially when it comes to completing daily challenges, and it would make it a less of a toxic experience for a lot of fans out there. Number 4, matchmaking. Speaking of having to play with other players, dead lobbies are known to happen, and this issue dates all the way back to the beta. From the insane queue times to players giving up and leaving before something starts, it's rage-inducing. Half the time, players just skip daily challenges that involve any steps requiring them to queue up for something because of how long it typically takes, and the 75% chance they will encounter an infinite loading screen. When it comes to PvP showdowns and playlists, this is even worse. There is almost no single lobby out there, on PC at least, that has any players, and it's not because no one is playing. There's thousands of players online actively playing the game, and sometimes there's even daily challenges asking players to do a specific PvP showdown, but because of matchmaking and how bad it is, no one ever gets to even complete these challenges half the time or queue up or get into a game. Sometimes the wait time is even worse than counting clouds in GTA Online. Number 5, PvP content removal. There was a time when PvP was thriving in Red Dead Online. The fact that there wasn't much else to do in the game did help, but there was some genuinely entertaining showdown modes to play in. For whatever reason though, Rockstar decided to gut a ton of PvP content from the game, and the content hasn't made its way back since. One of the most played and memorable game modes was Team Shootout, and the best map, Saint Denis Docks. I still remember playing this and how much I enjoyed it. Just a simple team deathmatch with friends. Now, you can't even pick and choose what game mode you play in PvP, and most of the modes are objective based, and there aren't any straightforward run and gun feel good modes to play. Why Rockstar did this? Who knows? One thing is for sure though, fans hate it and they want the content back in the game. Number 7, that requires gold to purchase. Do you have some? Gold bars, just gold in general. The claim to be optional yet required premium currency in Red Dead Online that Rockstar just couldn't resist adding to the game. Whether it's limited time clothing or a new update with a new role, gold is always the currency required to gain access to the good stuff in Red Dead Online. If you're an all-out dedicated player, gold may not be an issue since there are a few decent ways to earn it, but for the casual player, gold is a huge inconvenience. The fact that gold is so easily spent is just the cherry on top. With everything that's somewhat desirable locked behind high ranks, new players are immediately pressured into spending their gold to bypass rank unlocks. Gold just sucks in general because you end up playing in fear of spending it and you just save it. And then of course when that big update comes out or that new role comes out, you spend it. And if you don't have a lot, guess what? You're either grinding for more or you can take the easy way out and buy it from the store. Number 7, now this one is a little bit more intended for the OG players out there, and that is losing hunted animals to disconnects. There was a time when hunting was actually a viable way to make some quick cash. It still is a good way to, but back in the day it was really good. Animals seemed to spawn more often earlier on too, so it was even better. The only thing that interfered with a good hunt were the unstable servers. Sure, the servers are still pretty hit or miss now, but getting disconnected happened a lot more often in the past. Once you got tired of rinsing and repeating the same select few missions, hunting was the next best thing. Spending a decent amount of time getting a couple of 3-star carcasses was pretty enjoyable, but all of that came to a crashing halt when you'd be on your way to the butcher and get smacked with a disconnection alert. Guess what? Those carcasses are gone, along with anything else stowed on your horse. Such a triggering thing, especially when it was a 3-star cougar. Let's get some F's in the comments to pay our respects to those who lost animals due to disconnections. Moving on, number 8, animal skinning and looting animations. We players can't dismiss the fact that Red Dead Online definitely delivers on immersion when it comes to interacting with things in the environment. From rummaging through all of your downed enemies' pockets for loot, to pulling out your knife and making that perfect incision on an animal carcass to skin it. The animations are very well done and seamless. After a while though, they just didn't feel necessary for the game. More so with the looting animations because you would be in the middle of combat and go to loot someone and you would take way too long to get an item off of a fallen enemy and get yourself killed. Rockstar eventually adapted to community feedback and they gave the looting animation an overhaul to make it just a simple bend over and swipe motion, decreasing the time it takes to loot significantly. Animal skinning has remained the same along with searching through cabinets, and these things are a bit more acceptable though because players typically aren't engaging in combat when doing these things. It would be nice if there was a way to cancel animations instead of being forced to finish them. That way you could interrupt and defend yourself when a person was attacking you, an NPC or player, whoever it is, while you're maybe skinning an animal or something like that. Because right now, if you skin an animal, you're free game. Anyone can shoot you while you're doing it and you can do nothing about it except for watch. Number 9, Slippery Bastard. At one time, the Slippery Bastard ability card held a place upon the throne as the most overlooked yet overpowered ability card in Red Dead Online. It's still a decent ability card now, but before it was nerfed, nothing was more infuriating than coming up on a player using it among the other players that weren't. Slippery was pretty much the same except for the fact that while using it, you were able to shoot other players a lot easier than you are now. Plus, there was no free aim during Slippery's reign. People just weren't used to encountering these players and not having that sweet handheld auto lock-on targeting system to use against them, and they didn't know what to do. The most toxic of all combinations to this day, I think, is Slippery Bastard with dynamite arrows. I still can't even talk about it. I hate it. Number 10, speaking of dynamite arrows, number 10 is explosive ammo. Do I need to explain this one? For obvious reasons, explosive ammo is one of the most hated things in Red Dead Online. Was it a thing back then? I mean, in reality, did people actually have access or even know how to make explosive ammo during this time period? I guess Red Dead Online isn't exactly historically accurate anyway, so no one asked these questions, but that being said, it doesn't make getting pulled up on by some man-child using explosive ammo any less triggering. I don't know what's worse, getting blown up and dying instantly, or getting hit with that first shot that makes your character ragdoll around while you can do nothing but watch yourself get shot again, or as Red Dead puts it, exploded. Oh, and when your horse gets caught in the crossfire, it takes everything to not stoop to the other player's level and pop off with some explosive rounds yourself. Explosive ammo, overall, toxic, and very hated in Red Dead Online. And here we are at the last thing on today's list. If I've missed something throughout today's video, be sure and leave it down in the comments below, as I'm almost 100% sure others can relate. Number 11, mission timer payouts. Typically, the faster and more accurate you complete something, the better the reward, right? Well, in Red Dead Online, that's not the case. In fact, it's the opposite. Not only is the grind already a time-consuming one, but as if the leash wasn't short enough, Rockstar decided to come up with the amazing idea to increase your payout for completing missions if you complete them as late as possible. Instead of just pushing through missions and grinding money alongside some gold here and there, players get to sit around and watch a timer tick down on an average of 10 minutes at a time. That might be a dramatization, but it feels like 10 minutes. Most missions are completed well before the timer is depleted, but if you want to get the best payout for said missions, guess what? You have to play the waiting game as if the game already wasn't slow enough. I know, you all know this pain. Alright, big ups for tuning in, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please be sure and leave a like rating down below real quick to show your support to the channel. And if you are a new or returning visitor that has not subscribed yet, please consider doing so alongside turning on notifications so you aren't missing out on any future Red Dead Online content. I hope to see you all in the next video. Later.